Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of Sports Talk with Dad. Obviously, the big topic of conversation is going to be the Super Bowl. We have a ton of other topics we're going to talk about as well. Before we get into any of that, as always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who was alive when everyone thought that the sun orbited the Earth, my dad, Tim.
You're getting pretty weak on those.
That one was a weak one.
It's almost as bad as all of a sudden your sister calls me up and goes, all my friends think you're so cute. I am not that old guy that's always the cute guy.
I mean, you are.
No,
People-
I'm not.
People
I'm not
think
that
babies
old.
and old people are cute, and you have transitioned into that old people are cute.
You know, if there's a balloon,
Congratulations.
I'd point up to the balloon with one finger, but this is a family show, so I...
The bird.
Yeah, wrong finger.
Still my favorite line from Top Gun. You know, showing
Yes.
him the bird,
Yeah.
keeping up the foreign relations.
That's exactly right.
Such a great movie.
When he puts his finger up, hate it when he does that.
That was such a good movie.
And Miles Teller, by the way, in Maverick,
Yeah, it was great.
sounds just like Goose.
Yeah, they planned that well. He had the same creepy mustache that Goose did.
Back when Goose had it, it wasn't creepy.
I mean, it's coming back now where people don't think it's creepy. The problem is
Yeah.
people with mustaches, right? Like, I get the stubble. People thinking it looks cool.
I want to know how long that's going to last.
Well, I need stubble because if I don't have stubble, people think I'm 12.
Welcome to my world.
So I need
Not
something
my
on my
genes.
face to prove that I'm an adult. But as for the mustache, people need to realize there are very few people that look good with the mustache.
I will give you the three I know of. Albert Einstein,
Yeah, you had a good mustache.
Sam Elliott,
Great mustache.
Tom Selleck. That's it.
Another great mustache.
I can't think of nobody else that looks good in a mustache.
Charlie Chaplin. I mean, nobody can wear that
It's
mustache
a Hitler
anymore.
mustache, so no, that doesn't look
Before
good.
that,
Yeah, I understand, but that's gone. No.
I didn't know how popular of a look that was.
Oh yeah, back in the day, sure. Everybody wanted to be Charlie Chaplin, even Hitler.
He did drama stuff too, which I didn't know. He was like a big time actor.
Yeah. We aren't going to get into it, but yeah, he was a performance actor and
Speaking of old movies,
Ugh.
you sent me something that now gives me nightmares.
the Joker.
I don't know how many of you knew this. I didn't, and
didn't
I'm
either.
almost as big of a Batman fan as it gets. I'm sure there are people out there that are bigger fans than I am, but there was a time period where I knew everything Batman. And I did not know this, but the Joker is based off a character in a 1928 movie called The Man Who Laughs, which is about a man who I have it on my watch list because you just sent me this last night.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but it's on my watch list. But it's about a man who can't stop smiling, and he is the creepiest SOB
He's creepier
I've
than
ever seen.
He's creepier than any Joker that's ever been.
That is like next movie, there's your Joker. I don't know why in real life Batman movies they just haven't gone back to that guy. And the fact that it's black and white makes it even creepier.
We'll put it in the link below.
I already showed the picture up.
Oh, did you? Okay.
did.
All right.
But creepy dude. Like, I don't know how he made his face look like that.
I don't know, but
There was no cosmetic tricks back in the day.
that was back in the day when Max Factor was the big
I don't know who that is.
Max Factor. It's in every grocery store. It's like a kind of makeup, but there was a guy named Max Factor, and he was the original Hollywood makeup guy.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm sure he was involved with something like that, but
I'm
this guy
sure.
just looks as creepy as in that same article. Because there was an article of pictures you can't forget from history
Yeah.
or whatever. There was a guy that weighed over 1,000 pounds, which people have watched on TV. This guy actually still ran a farm, was up and moving all day, and still was that
ballgame.
big. It's a big boy.
You didn't get a chance to sit around if you were going to be that big
I've told you about.
back in the day.
I've told you about our Uncle Oscar, who was
6'8", 550 pounds.
no, that was your grandpa. No, he was 6'8", 275. But he had a brother that was over 600 pounds. His wife was almost 350, 400 pounds. I've got the photo someplace.
Big boy.
Yeah, he was a big boy, and he was a farmer. He was out working every day.
Diets were different back then, man. It was completely different. Obviously I'm hitting the gym more and more, right? And I've been
Mhm.
trying to keep focused on my diet because I
because
can't figure it out.
By the way, he looks that big because he wears small shirts.
Yeah, it's if you can't look good, fake it and find the shirts that fit right.
Uh-huh.
That's
Okay.
the trick.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm
Stand
trying.
stand up and show your stomach compared to that. Never mind.
No,
We
I
won't
got
do
a
that.
big
We
belly.
won't
It's
do
going
that.
away. Okay, it's going away. Summertime's coming. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I really don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I am a dad. I am allowed to have a little bit of a belly.
Yes, you are.
It's how it works. But watching different diets and just watching the diets how they were back in the day versus they are now, what people think is healthy. I mean, this diet craze nonsense has been going on since the 50s, if not before then.
Of course. And look, when I was growing up, they'd show on a commercial for cereal, they'd say part of a balanced breakfast, which would include eggs
Right.
and pancakes and bacon. People lived outside a lot more back in the day.
That's the biggest difference. I mean, the food pyramid, people, say now, well, it's the biggest joke. And yeah, for us as a kid, it was because we had already started to transition to more of a sedentary lifestyle where, yeah, your generation, you were just kicked outside.
Yes.
And then we had video games. And so we were just told to go into our room and play video games for a
We
while.
still kicked you outside, and you and your
you
brother
didn't know where I was half the time. You just said go.
just get away. But yeah, it was you go outside and you play baseball or whatever all day. You come
Right.
in for lunch, and your time to be home was when the street lights came on.
I just love how the milk carton thing didn't start until the 80s. Like, it wasn't until the 80s when society decided, hey, we should probably start looking for these kids.
You think?
Like, if you disappeared, you're just gone.
Speaking of which, and this is we'll get to the Super Bowl in just a second, but I was you. I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube.
Yes. Best thing to do ever.
There's a family in the 40s, lived in West Virginia. 5, 6 kids. On Christmas Eve, all 5 kids disappeared, never to be heard from again. They said that the sheriff came in and said, "Oh yeah, they just burned up." It would have taken a 2,000-degree heat to burn them up. They were just gone, and they never heard from them. Somebody told the dad later on, 30 years later, that there were 2 guys in Houston talking, and they admitting they were those kids, or 2 of those kids. The dad went to see him, and they would not acknowledge it. People thought it was the Italian mob that went out to hurt the family because the guy was talking against them.
How have I not heard of this before? This is right up my alley of
It is
things I watch.
completely up your alley. I can't think of the name of the family right now. I'll get it to you.
You need to send this to me because
If you know the name of the family, put it in the comments below.
this is the one time, like, you send me the most ridiculous garbage on the face of the earth.
Because I'm
it's
up
2
at-
in the morning,
Yeah.
and he's sending me text messages of articles that nobody in the world would ever care about. And this is something I'd actually find interesting,
You would love this.
and you don't send it to me. We're moving on from it for now because you and I are going to have a
It's-
conversation
okay.
later about what dictates a good message and what dictates a not good message. That would have been a good article to send.
The Solder Family is the name of it. I just looked it up.
I'm gonna.
You gotta
after
watch
I
it.
watch The Man Who Laughs. This is gonna be on my article or my.
My article. I
My
send you
list
I
as
send
well.
you good stuff at 1, 2 in the morning. By the
No,
way,
you don't. I never read it.
I need to sleep.
You need to sleep. I've been telling you that for quite a while. You know what helped me sleep at night though? The fact
Winning the
that
bets.
I had a pretty good night on the Super Bowl. As you all know, we have invited BetUS into the Sports Talk with Dad family. You can also join BetUS family with Sports Talk with Dad by following the link below and that you see here on the screen. They have decided, because of how awesome the Super Bowl was and how great the promotion was with Sports Talk with Dad, that they are extending the 125% bonus with your first deposit. So not only do you get to sign up and bet pretty much anything you want, you also win before even betting because you get 125% of your first deposit sent right back to you that you get to use on whatever you'd like. BetUS, follow the link in the description below and you can be signed up, and don't forget to follow that link so you get 125% of your first deposit so you can win before you win.
I won on the over/under.
Let's not talk about the over-under
I
yet, because I
failed
want to
on
talk
the
about one
national
thing.
anthem
That's what I want to talk about here.
badly.
Hold on. Time out. Reel it back in. We got to talk about this. All right.
Chris Stapleton, great national anthem.
I took the under because I did my research, okay? No one except 3 people. They're the only 3 people that have ever gone over 2 minutes and 5 seconds. That's it. Even Whitney Houston was under 2 minutes, and I thought that went on for a long time. Lady Gaga was under that amount of time, and I thought that went on for a long time. I was 110% positive he was going to be under 2 minutes. Neil Diamond sang it in 1 minute and 16 seconds, which is all it should take to sing the national anthem.
Which, by the way, when he started, I thought it was going to take 4 minutes to finish that damn song.
You're interrupting because I'm painting a picture here.
All right, fine.
All right.
Away.
I thought for sure there's no way that Chris Stapleton's going to go over 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And then he started and held on to that note. And I was like, uh-oh, I could be in trouble here. It was my most confident bet of the night. He's going to be under 2 minutes and 5 seconds. You said there's no way. And I said, look at the statistics here. It's all here. It all makes sense. And he just dragged it out. I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, dude, you got to wrap this thing up now. You got to wrap this thing up. And he keeps going and going. And then luckily, at the very end, where it's normally the longest, he cut it short.
The flyover was coming.
He had to cut it short. I mean, clearly he was on a time limit because he had to get to certain parts. Obviously, it's very well choreographed. But man, like he was at 121. So 2 minutes and 1 second, 121 seconds. 4 seconds under the 2 minute and 5 second over
I
under.
took the over and lost. But
I was nervous.
you know who else I was impressed with? Was Babyface singing America the Code.
That was great.
That was
Not so much a baby face anymore.
He's an older dude now.
He's probably needs to update the name.
What are you going to call him?
Old man face.
Okay. No, Super Bowl overall epic game until
It was. Even the halftime show was great.
you know I was
People
talking.
gave Rihanna a lot. Sorry, you go.
I was talking to a lot of people that over the last 2 days. You and I were talking about it. We were going back and forth on text. The only thing most people didn't even hear Rihanna. It was all, is she pregnant?
Trying to figure it out.
It was all it was about. And you, of course, ruined it for me by saying all the dancers in the white.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was clearly the point.
It couldn't have been. No, they were not dressed like sperm and they were going to announce she was pregnant. No.
That is 100% what they all look like.
You ruined that whole thing for me because I started to laugh and I couldn't stop and it was over.
I don't know what else they'd be.
Minions? I don't know either. It was just weird.
No, that was all part of the pregnancy announcement. A weird pregnancy announcement, by the way.
By the way,
I felt bad. I was like, that just has to be a really bad dress.
No.
But no, it's not. I mean, she looks 6 months pregnant at least. She must have gotten pregnant right after the first kid was born. But the show is great. I heard a lot of people giving a lot of flack for the show. It's like, what do you want? She's pregnant and
she's not going to do
hanging from the ceiling.
And she's not going to do a bunch of running and jumping around. She's not going to have outfit changes.
Rihanna is one of the great performers of our time. And I thought it was a great show. Was it as good as last year's? No. But what's going to top last year's show?
What was last year?
It was
oh yeah, that was an awesome show.
Why am I blanking now? Why am I blanking?
That was an amazing show that you can't even remember. It wasn't Lady Gaga, was it?
No, it wasn't. I think it was Justin Timberlake.
No. He was a long time ago.
No, he did it again.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Last year's Super Bowl halftime. Why am I blanking on who it was?
Oh, and this is why people love this show.
Yep. I don't remember. I can't even find it. I'm going to blank on it. But you let us know in the comments below who the last year's halftime performance was. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show.
That should be a BetUS.
As much as we enjoy making it.
That should be a BetUS thing. Will you remember to say that or not at some place? Oh, last year was
probably not.
Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem.
Oh, that's right. Duh. That was a great show with Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. That was awesome. That was a really good performance. Rihanna, I thought, was just as good. It's hard to top that. Plus, it's in L.A. I mean, there's a lot that went into it.
The game was in Phoenix.
Last
year.
Last
You want to talk
year.
about the commercials, or you want to get into the game?
We need to get into the game.
Let's do it.
Because the game was great. The over-under, I don't know who in the world bet the under at 51, let alone when it dropped to 50.
50 and a half.
I mean, clearly people have been betting the under quite a bit because they lowered it to 50 and a half
I can't.
later on in the week.
There was no way. It was never going to be
They ended up scoring, what, 75 points? In total, it was 35-38?
Something like that,
Do the
yeah.
math. I don't
It was
73 points? Yeah,
with those
73
two
points.
quarterbacks, those two offenses, it was not. And by the way, defenses, Kansas City had one taken away that they shouldn't have. It was it was a fun game to watch until the end.
What a crappy way to end a Super Bowl.
It was, and I talked to
That's the weakest hold.
I talked to a college referee who tried to defend that stupid flag to the nth degree. He goes, well, technically, and it was when he reached his arm around, they had swallowed their flags for the entire game and let the two teams decide it on the field, which I loved. 47 yards and penalties was all there was. And then you make a referee decides he has to step into the middle of the action and decide a Super Bowl, which he did. Because if not, that was a third down. Kansas City kicks a field goal. Jalen Hurts has a minute 33, 38 to try to score.
No timeouts left. What an exciting way that Super Bowl should have ended. And I don't even know what he saw. I mean, I get ESPN. You sent me something where ESPN had said if he was wearing white gloves, they never would have seen it. I guess it makes sense. You always wear the gloves that match the color of the jerseys. I mean, they've worn black gloves all year.
I know.
That shouldn't have made a difference. Like, if anything, the hold was on the other side because he did pull on the jersey a bit.
They said that wasn't it.
He didn't even grip his hand on his back.
It was the wrap around that got
Plus, the ball was overthrown by 7 or 8 yards.
Again, the college official, friend of mine, was like, well, they don't take it into consideration if the ball was overthrown or not. Like,
well, it has to be a catchable ball.
Yeah, and it was
to make
10
a
lines
difference.
short.
It has to be a catchable ball.
It just bothered me, and I've heard Kansas City fans are going, nope, it was perfectly fair. Bullshit. If that would have been in the other direction, you would have been screaming about it. It should not have ended that way.
Listen, I'll never forget in the Packers-Dallas game where Dez Bryant made that catch. And yes, Dez Bryant made that catch.
No, he didn't make that catch.
Like, and I know Packer fans have said the same thing where it was dropped by the rule. I'm like, yeah, I like that too because it worked in our favor, but it doesn't change the fact that the dude caught the ball. Same thing here. Like, you can be if I'm a Kansas City fan, honestly, I was rooting for Kansas City, and I wasn't happy with the way the game ended.
It took all the suspense out of what should have been an epic ending, maybe even overtime, out of the question. They just, the last minute, they just let it count down, kick the field goal, and walk
away. That was
away.
the end of it. No, I don't agree. Obviously, it worked out, but I don't agree with not scoring the touchdown because they were going to just let him walk in and let him score. And McKinnon went down. Obviously, it ended up being the right decision. But for me,
that's a heads-up play.
When you got the points.
It was a heads-up play.
It was a heads-up play, but you have a field goal kicker that already missed one earlier in the game.
Doink.
And
almost
you have a chance to score. It's not like you're in the lead. Yeah, almost missed that extra point too. Barely made that in. It's not like you're in the lead. It's a tie ball game. Take the points. But it worked out. So obviously I'm wrong. I know nothing. Andy Reid is a god at football. So good for him for making
greatest coach of all time.
He's up there. I mean, it's hard to take that away from Belichick considering he's won.
Oh, 6. I have no problem taking away from somebody who cheats to win.
Got it.
Okay, New England fans, you can let me know.
Forever. This is going to happen. Yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? You always throw me off when you do that nonsense.
But it's not nonsense. You're talking about Andy Reid being the greatest coach ever.
It was a bad call. I mean, it ruined the game because that's what anybody talked about after that game. Like, you literally, as a referee, decided, I'm going to make this game work out the way I want it to. And then the NFL gets confused why people think it's rigged.
Look, I know the Eagles player said, I wrapped around. And the NFL came out quickly and sided with the referee. It's a bad look when you haven't called that all game. You let the players, there was holding the whole game. And you know why I know? The wide receiver never said a word,
Not a word.
and which he did earlier in the game when he
Correct.
was held. That wasn't even close.
Well, and Smith-Schuster is going to let you know if he thinks he was held. This isn't like it's a
Yeah.
wide receiver that normally keeps his mouth shut. Like he's going to let you know if he was held, and he clearly wasn't. The ball was clearly overthrown. Schuster and Mahomes were clearly not on the same page with that route.
He wasn't held up at all.
He wasn't, and it ruined the end of Super Bowl. The ref decided he needed to be a part of this game. It shocks me that they don't have situations where you can go back to the booth, because that's a situation where you have people back in New York.
They should have just
They
said,
need
pick
to
it
go
up.
on the radio and say, you need to pick that up right now.
We're not ending it this way.
No, you need to pick that up right
No.
now. That's not a foul.
Now, if it was a situation where if Philadelphia tackled the guy and it was so obvious you have to throw it, I don't have a problem
Well, if
with
it was actually pass interference,
correct.
call it.
I just don't see it as being.
There was a play with A.J. Brown earlier in the game
Yes.
where it was questionable. I think it was a right no call, but it was questionable, and they didn't throw the flag. At that point in the game, with less than 2 minutes left in the game, you're taking the flag out of your pocket. Like, dude, you got to be better than that.
I want the game to be decided by the coaches and the players on the field, and they took that away. And there was another call, which you and I disagreed with, and that was the catch by the Eagles player against his helmet. It was a catch, and they took it away from him, but they still went down and scored.
They didn't take it away from him. Goddard catch?
The one where he was ridden out of bounds, and
Yeah,
that was a catch.
Oh, with Devontae Smith?
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. That was a catch.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
They gave it to him. I was wrong. They called it a catch.
No, they overturned it. It wasn't a catch.
You're right. I'm thinking of the Goddard one still.
Yeah, no, it was.
Yes, it wasn't a catch.
It was a catch.
It fell out of his hand.
He caught the thing. He made 2 steps, and he's getting thrown out of bounds with a player on his
He
back.
did not catch the ball.
He caught the ball.
He
It was
landed,
against
it popped
his helmet.
out. He didn't even. He
Oh
took
my
2 steps.
God.
He didn't make a football move.
He did. How is he not going to make a football? That's like the interception that Kansas City made. They're saying, well, he didn't make a football move. He couldn't because the hit was timed perfectly.
That was more of a football move than with the Sanders fumble that should have been a fumble.
Yeah, when
touchdown.
Dotson picked it up.
I mean, how in the world is that not a fumble?
It was a
that was a
great
football move.
It was a great hit. Timed perfectly.
Time and time again, though, it seemed like the refs were on the Eagles side later or the Chiefs side later in the game. There was the no catch that was all of a sudden called a no catch. There was the final play, which obviously wasn't a pass interference. And there were the substitution rule after the Goddard catch, where they're getting up to run a play and then stop the play to make sure the Chiefs had a chance to substitute because he went to the bench and they considered that a substitution.
Look, I'm not
like, listen, if it's the same player coming back in, that's not a substitution.
I'm not taking anything away. The Chiefs in the second half, Andy Reid turned it around.
Yes.
And it was a magnificent coaching job. I think Kansas City still wins the game if that flag isn't thrown.
We'll never know.
We'll never know, though.
They took away a defining moment for someone who is going to be one of your better quarterbacks going forward. He is a top 5 quarterback going forward, and you took a chance away from him to cement his legacy.
Correct.
To me, it's no different than a manager pulling a pitcher during a perfect game. You're taking away an opportunity. And to me, that's not acceptable. And at that point of the game, your refs have to be better.
They have to swallow the flag and go, look, we aren't deciding the game this way.
And when you're not deciding the game at any other point, be consistent. That was just a bad call.
It was a bad call.
And how dare the head ref not come up, or even that guy? I get throwing the flag because you think you see something. But as a head ref, you got to be like, listen.
We're not doing this now.
Did he pull him to the ground? Well, no. Then pick up the damn flag. There's no foul on that play.
Exactly. Somebody needed to think of the game well above a ticky-tacky penalty, and it was ticky-tacky.
It was super ticky-tacky.
They let them play all game, and that I think was bugged me more than anything else. If you're calling it tight the whole game, fine.
Right.
Then you can expect it. But it wasn't. It was let the players decide the game on the field until the end. It was like having a giant bubble just burst, and then the entire game deflated after that.
Eagles fans feel ripped off.
They should.
And they should. Chiefs fans can't feel as good about that as they want to.
They're trying to, but I got to be honest, I'm with you. Would they have done, here's the question. If Brady is standing on the sidelines and if they score, if they don't call that, they're going to give him a chance to go down.
Pick up the flag.
They're picking up the flag, and they're going to give Brady the opportunity.
You keep changing rules to let the quarterbacks win the game and give every quarterback a chance. These overtime rules that you changed and everything else you've done, and then you take the ball out of a quarterback's hand to end the game.
One of the 2 best quarterbacks in the league this year.
Hands down. Hands down. I'm honestly, well, I can't say I'm surprised that Jalen Hurts didn't win the MVP because he was hurt for a few games. But if he had played all game, Jalen Hurts is most likely the MVP of that season.
Yeah. And
I mean, he had 1 and 2. It's the game we were all supposed to get. We finally have a Super Bowl where this is the exact game we're supposed to get.
And it was a brilliant game.
It was an amazing game.
Even down to when Mahomes got hurt and came back in the second half.
Got lots of medicine put into his bottom.
His bum was full of Toradol.
And then you let it get ruined by a flag. It took. I was so disappointed by the end of that game. I couldn't even enjoy the celebration of the Chiefs.
It took away what would have been maybe the greatest Super Bowl of all time and put it in the realm of just another game.
It did. It did. But hey, you let us know what you think in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it.
And if you are a referee, I dare you to tell me I'm wrong.
Well, yeah, they can't. I mean, they will.
They will.
Referees have a weird stick together, like no matter what type of thing. Like I get you guys get a lot of flack for things, but call a spade a spade. If it's a bad call, it's a bad call. And that's all there really is to it. I do want to talk about marketing for a second.
Okay.
Because before the Super Bowl,
Marketing of Sports Talk with Dad?
We do have Marketing of Sports Talk with Dad. As you can see, we have the new vests on. And if we come out here, we do have some new cups, some new hats, and some new tumblers
available
as well.
Soon on a website to be named later.
Yes.
Actually, we've got the website. We just have to set up the...
There's building a website, which neither you or I really know how to do, which means I have to learn how to do it. And so when I get it up, I'll tell you. Anyway, the Waste Management Classic, or Waste Management, whatever they call it, the Phoenix Open.
Phoenix Open.
Is the same weekend as the Super Bowl. And on Sunday, which is brilliant, by the way, like they even changed it to line up with the Super Bowl, which is the smartest thing you could do. Because the only reason I watched the Phoenix Open was because I was really tired of hearing people analyze the Super Bowl for 3 hours.
No, I watched it for
something else to watch.
I watch it for number 16.
16 is...
I love that.
The coolest hole ever. They just wrap the whole thing now.
Yeah, and it's cheering, and people are
loud, man.
I sent you the video of the girl just
chugging 2 beers. Good for them.
I love her.
They are drunk, they are loud, and they make for an exciting tournament. It reminds me of Happy Gilmore. Like at the beginning when the Happy Gilmore fans come in, that's basically what the Phoenix Open is. But I turned it on because, again, tired of watching all of the Super Bowl talk.
I want to see if you and I are going to talk about the same thing, because we haven't talked about this yet in our long production meeting before the show.
The 30 seconds where we send each other ideas and there's a show sheet.
We do this all week, just so you know. But go ahead.
Nike,
it is,
had the best marketing move ever, because you have Scheffler who ended up winning the tournament, and you always have the swoosh on the left, right? That's where the logo goes. On the right back shoulder, they put a Nike swoosh on there, and I couldn't stop paying attention to it because I thought he had his shirt on backwards.
Every company is going to rip that off in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because it was brilliant.
That's all I could pay attention to.
Yes.
I literally thought he had his shirt on backwards the whole time.
Same here.
And then once I realized it's on both sides, I'm like, well, why did you put it there? And then you and I were talking, and the light bulb clicked. It's like, oh, they put it there because I'm talking about this and paying attention to that more than anything.
And you and I are going, and they're going to get plugs. I haven't heard a lot of media outlets talk about it, but I know you and I were all over it.
A lot of people are. We are not the only ones. I have talked to several people this week who, when talking about the Phoenix Open, who are like, did you see that thing on Scheffler's back? Brilliant, brilliant move. Who thinks of that? Who thinks, let's make it look like somebody has their shirt on backwards?
Whoever did it needs to get a raise because it was brilliant. It's going to become the norm.
Which honestly is sad to me because that shouldn't be worn unless you are on national television where you want the logo on the front and the back. For you and I, like what? Don't wear a shirt with
I'm
a
not.
logo that makes your shirt look backwards.
No, you're going to look like a
But it's going
total
to happen.
idiot. Well,
It's going to happen.
it won't happen with me. I will not wear a logo on the back because nobody's going to care whether I'm playing.
I won't
Unless
either.
one of our sponsors wants to
Well,
have
then
us
I'll
play
put.
in golf tournaments, then we'll of course do it.
I mean, I have my cost for a
You
tattoo
play
as well.
I can't play anymore.
Well, you can
Then I'm bitter about that. I'll caddy for you and drive the
walk
cart.
with me.
Okay.
You just go on a walk with me.
I'm not going to carry the bag.
I'll carry the bag. Old people have to go for walks. So you need to make sure you're getting out.
Get back
and
to
getting
the
your fresh
Nike
air.
part of this.
But I think you're right. You're going to see Adidas do it. You're going to see Puma do it at this point. You're going to see all the different brands that make shirts.
Fox,
Whoever else is
whatever.
out there,
Yeah.
you're going to see them all do it at this point. And it was brilliant because, again, I wasn't focusing on the golf. I was like, what's wrong with the dude's shirt?
Now, the question's going to be, you mentioned Puma. I don't think that would look good on the back.
Doesn't matter. It didn't look good on Scheffler's back with the Nike swoosh. It looked stupid.
Really?
It looked dumb. It's not
No.
about if it was effective. It's about, did it look good? And the answer is no. It looked dumb. But it was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Because it's not about how it looks. It's about getting your logo out so everybody can see it.
Except if they get to be too big and then you're ending up looking like the Bad News Bears sponsored by some garbage company or whatever it was.
Depends which Bad News Bears.
I know. The original. There's only one Bad News Bears, and that was the one with Walter Matthau.
Listen, Billy Bob Thornton was
no,
good in the Bad
Walter
News Bears.
Matthau, the original.
I'm not
Jodie
saying it
Foster
wasn't better. I'm just saying
and Kelly, whatever his name was.
that the Billy Bob Thornton one was good too.
Squirrel.
Lots of squirrels.
It was
It was a brilliant move.
Adidas is going to look great in that.
Nobody's going to look good in that.
It's going to be the norm.
On the top of your shoulder, no, I know it's going to be the norm because it's smart. Because no matter which way you're taking a picture, and it's smart too because you're bending over the club. So no matter which angle you see your logo on national television, it doesn't mean it looks good. It didn't look good. My whole thought the whole time was, why is his shirt on backwards? Brilliant for marketing.
Yes.
Not something normal people should wear.
No. It'd be like putting Sports Talk with Dad logo on the back. No, it's not, unless it's a sweatshirt and that is the logo. No. But I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Congratulations to Nike for once again being
ahead of it. And right before that movie gets launched too, which does look really good. They say loosely based, and from what I can tell and from the little I know about that story, it is going to be very loosely based.
It's the Cool Runnings of shoe movies.
It will be. But I'm sure Jordan's getting a lot for it. I wonder if he's going to be in the movie. I haven't seen. He wasn't in any of the trailers.
No, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Which getting those two to do it on top of that makes it. I want to watch this thing because I know you and I have both watched the little videos. Adidas just barely gave Jordan a regular rookie contract, and Nike came in and opened their wallet up.
Yeah, that's who they bet on. Completely.
Jordan wanted Adidas
because he wore them in college.
Right.
He liked them. He thought they were comfortable.
Exactly. And then Nike came in and paid him a boatload.
Made the worst basketball shoes known to man.
Except that Michael wore them.
Yeah, well, they're collector's editions now.
They're worth a fortune.
The thing with Jordans now, though, is it's funny hearing people talk about it. If you wore Jordans on a basketball court, they'd kick you off the basketball court to change into different shoes. Those are not meant to be worn. They are meant to be collected. And that's it. Which is good because you'll be able to play with them for a half and then they'll break open. Speaking from experience playing tennis when I almost broke my ankle the first time. But the Jordans do look cool and they have a buzz around them. I spent $20 on sneakers to this day. Like, I'm not spending $500 on a pair of shoes. However, I have spent $500 on collectibles in the past. Different folks, different strokes.
Look, shoes are worth a fortune. What kills me is, the most valuable Nike shoe is the original Nike Waffle.
Yeah, which you had.
Had that one, and the next one Not even thinking about it.
You need to stop telling me the stuff that you had and got rid of.
God.
You got rid of Detective Comics 27. You got rid of Action Comics #1.
I didn't have that. Dad had that.
Original Nike shoes. You had the original Green Lantern comics. You had the original Fantastic Four, which was the beginning of Marvel.
Whoa.
You had the original showing of Hulk in Wolverine and the original showing of Wolverine in... it was the original showing of Wolverine in Hulk, which you got rid of.
I had the original. I had Green Lantern 76 was the Bucky episode where he had the drug addiction. It's still worth a fortune. I got rid of them because I bought your mom a Christmas present.
Yeah, and how long have you been divorced?
Long time.
Bad decision.
Terrible decision considering what I got for it. It was a stupid, idiotic decision. Your mom loved me.
Mother. She's my favorite mother I've ever had. Bad decision.
Let that just sink in. And what was stupid is we were both broke. I was broke. And she would have accepted a card. And I'm thinking, duh, keep your comic books, give her a card, call it a day, and maybe next year.
This is why my wife and I have not. This is our first year giving each other Christmas gifts in 10 years. This is the first time I ever got her anything for Valentine's Day ever.
Let's move on.
We've been broke for a long time.
Yeah. Let's move on. I've still got comic books. They're your sister's, but I've got them.
They're not.
You're getting the baseball card. She's getting the comic book.
Touche. I mean, my comic book collection is worth more than your comic book collection at this point. You had way better comics than I had.
You don't know what I have now.
I know it's not better
than the originals. Because when I started collecting in like the early 1970s, and I really loved comic books. I bought them every week.
Yeah,
and then I started buying the old ones because they weren't that expensive, and I just loved them. I had 7 or 8 Foot Lockers full of just comic books.
I don't have that many, but I did find an old store when we lived down in Florida, down in Zephyr Hills, and he had trunks full, but he didn't know anything about comic books. He was a baseball card salesman. So he just got these comic books, and he was selling them for $1 a piece. And I spent 4 hours in there just going through the comic books. And he had some comic books in there. He had a 30th edition Killing Joke in there. I got that for $1.
Damn. There was a Salvation Army or a Goodwill in New Tampa. In Temple Terrace. That I go there every week, and there was a kid who would hold things back for a few of us.
Yeah.
Before it went on the floor, so we would buy things.
All day.
All of a sudden, the kid wasn't there one day. Where'd he
Slip
go?
him a couple extra bucks, and they hold them for you.
The manager looked at me and goes, I don't even want to know what you got.
There it is.
I said, fair enough.
That's when you just walk away and leave. I do have to say, getting back to sports real quick, I think Fox may have made a mistake.
And what?
Greg Olson.
Brilliant. Oh, my God, he was good.
Had one of the best Super Bowl performances for an announcer, especially a color announcer, of all time. Greg Olson has turned into one of my favorite to listen to. I think he's better to listen to than Tony Romo. I also think Tony Romo has kind of started to phone it in a little bit here.
Greg Olson is concise. He picks out things that normal people like us wouldn't see, and he translates them into language we can understand.
Well, he doesn't overtalk people. Like, this is what I see. It's the same thing most fans see, so it makes you feel good because it's like, oh, I saw that too. And he also points out things you didn't see, but like you said, in layman's terms, so people can understand it. I think Brady's going to be great. I really do.
He's going to work at it.
But you have a finished product in Greg Olson that probably was one of the first times in a while, at least, I haven't turned the volume down on a Super Bowl because I don't want to listen to the announcers.
You know the thing about Greg Olson that I like? He's like your neighbor next door talking to you.
Yes.
He's just comfortable to listen to.
He is.
Kevin Burkhardt did a fine job.
Also really good. They're a great team.
Yeah, they are.
I think they're the best team in football right now.
It's going to be Burkhardt and Brady in 2 years.
Year.
Not next year. We'll have one more year with Greg Olson. But what does Fox do? And the head of Fox said the best thing. He goes, look, we're paying Greg Olson, and he's going to do an amazing job for us.
I don't know where he goes because, unfortunately, all the slots have been filled. ESPN's been signed on for a long time now. Amazon team's been signed on for a long time for Thursday Night Football. You have the Sunday Night Football crew. You just brought in...
I could see him going to Sunday Night Football and moving out.
Chris Collinsworth steps out.
Absolutely.
But Chris Collinsworth has to agree to retire. I think that's the only place you could really see him go.
Somebody's going to hire him because he's too good not to be a main guy.
I agree. I just don't know where else he's going to go. And he needs to be professional instead of college. He could do college too.
Yeah, he's a professional.
He's a professional guy. And by the way, I did not realize how massive his hands were
He's got paws.
until I saw him during the Super Bowl next to Burkhardt who has normal person hands.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like, wow.
There's a reason he destroyed the Packers so many times when he played against them.
Yes.
It's just
He's a big boy.
he's a big dude.
Big, very talented player or announcer and player.
Yes.
And I don't know if getting Brady involved was the right call.
Not for the money they're paying him. I mean, Olsen's making in the $10 million range, which he's worth every penny.
Correct.
Brady's getting 37 and a half, and he hasn't done a damn thing. I just let him. I like people when they have to go and earn their chops. And I will tell you this, because Brady's going to be the number one guy.
He is.
But he should look at it and go, no, let me do this number two for a year.
Right.
And then I'll go up.
He won't.
He won't.
There's still egos.
Yes, of course.
And you're not paying somebody $350 million over 10 years.
And Brady is going to study. He's going to prepare, and he'll be ready.
It out. He is. But he's not coming back now. I still think he could go to San Francisco, but I don't think he's coming back.
I think he goes to San Francisco. I've said it, and I'm not changing it yet.
He turned in his retirement paperwork. He's done.
Not yet. I still think San Francisco is going to find a way to get him to come back for 1 year.
If that's the one place that could get him to come back, is San Francisco, 100%. I do want to ask you one thing, and I want to get more into this next week.
Okay.
But baseball is changing. And I'm not sure. I know it's not for the better.
What?
They are testing a couple different things. Number one, I've seen the new plates, the new bases.
Don't get me started.
They look really bad.
Don't get me started on this. I will say, before we leave football, and we can get back to baseball because you're just going to wind me up. Football is doing something that I think is brilliant. Hockey's been doing it for years. They're going to put sensors in the goal line so they know when the ball is crossed.
Yeah, Sean Payton was talking about that.
I think that's
a few
brilliant.
times. Yeah, where they're going to have a chip in the ball, which is already there. And where when they cross the goal line, the something's going to light up. I don't know whether it can get to light up.
The goalpost.
It was the goalpost or the side things. I'm just saying you could do a couple different ways. And so all you have to do then in replay is see, okay, is his knee down? Because this is where the ball crossed the goal line. And I do think that's brilliant.
Long overdue.
You only need quite a few chips in there, though. Because if it's any part of the ball crosses the goal line, and you can't really determine.
It can be done.
Yeah, it can. It will. I think that's great.
Okay. Getting back to baseball, because now you're going to just
bases look dumb. Cora said it best when he said they look like pizza boxes.
Yep.
Because they 100% do. You remember when you were a little kid and they had those oversized bases because kids don't really know how to play?
No, because we learned to play the right way with regular bases.
It looks like a cartoon. I mean, it's really dumb.
This is Rob Manfred baseball.
The pitch clock. If it turns out to be what I've seen the concepts of, where it's going to be a giant clock in center field that people are going to be watching,
of course,
like that's ridiculous. Again, making the game look like a cartoon because nobody else needs to see it but the umpire, and the umpire can see it from anywhere.
The umpire can have a thing on his wrist or something.
And it shouldn't be the behind the plate umpire making that call on the clock anyways. You should have another umpire that's watching the clock. And I don't know how the umpire is going to watch the pitching clock because they all have other stuff to do.
Baseball is ignoring the real problems and addressing things that just don't matter. And
the bigger bases, I said this before, I'll say it again, and I want to get more into this next week, but the bigger bases make sense because of the way you've changed now where you have to be on the bag. That's going to prevent injuries. They look really dumb, but I get the point of it.
There was no problem with at second base doing the in neighborhood like they used to do.
It got to be pretty ridiculous. There were people standing in center field
then
and they were calling
need
people
to
out.
call that when it's that far. But if they're within from you to me away,
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. I'm just saying, with that change, they should have changed this when they changed the rule, because a lot of people got hurt for no reason. You had no forethought. You just changed the rule because people in baseball don't know what the hell they're doing.
they don't, and it's from
One
the
thing.
leadership down.
It is, yeah. Rob Manfred's a joke and has to go. I mean, he's ruining the sport of baseball, and you have owners in the game that only care about money and don't build teams. You could see it again with the way the Orioles spent.
Mhm.
You can see it again with the way the Marlins spent.
Or didn't spend.
You're seeing it with the way the Diamondbacks and Colorado Rockies are starting to spend right now. It's getting to be a joke.
And we're going to address pitching versus throwing if we're going to talk
All that
baseball
stuff.
again.
We'll get into a lot of that next week. There's a lot of things wrong with baseball. What I do like that they're getting ready to try,
Don't say it.
AAA for the first half of the season is going to have robot umpires behind home plate.
Train your umpires and you don't need it. And I've proven my point
Sure.
because we've watched All-Star games, World Series games. Those guys don't miss calls.
Those guys don't miss calls. That is very true.
Train your freaking umpires and get the Angel Hernandezes out of that goddamn business. Pardon my French. Sorry, guys.
That sounded like English to me. I agree.
It just winds me up.
But I think there's nothing wrong with
Bullshit.
giving assistance to umpires. There's just not.
There's no
We
need.
talked about this. How are they missing right now? They changed their stance because they were missing the up and down. So they changed their stance and they're not missing the up and down anymore. I don't think there's anything wrong with having some sensors in the front of the plate and the around the plate, and that plate to light up anytime the ball crosses.
I want to talk about Super Bowl commercials, not this, because my blood pressure is starting to go
We
up.
will save it more for next week. I think it's a good way to end with the Super Bowl commercials.
God.
There were some really good ones.
Why did you bring that up?
Because I thought about it, and I don't really plan. I just kind of bring up what.
So
crosses mind.
my favorite Super Bowl commercial was one of the first ones. The YouTube slam at DirecTV or what Red Zone.
A great commercial.
Loved it.
For Sunday NFL ticket, you don't need a satellite dish anymore. First thing they said. First thing, you don't need a satellite dish anymore. And plus, I think that YouTube getting a hold of this is going to be amazing.
Oh, it is.
I really do.
They paid a fortune for it, by the way.
17 billion, isn't that what it was?
Something like that.
It was an insane amount of money. A lot of bees in that number. But I think it's going to be great because now anybody has access to it. And that's true. You don't need a satellite dish. And the NFL's been doing more and more with YouTube and with Google. And it makes a huge difference.
All of it. It was just a brilliant commercial. The other one I liked that some people have hated, I loved it, was the Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez commercial at Dunkin' Donuts.
It's a great commercial.
Because I knew what the product was.
Well, here's where people fail. I'll give you an example with two commercials.
Venus Williams?
Not Venus, Serena.
Or Serena, sorry, my bad.
But yes, that was my other example. Serena Williams had a commercial where she's giving some pep talk to a football team.
No idea what the product is.
No idea. I know it was about a liquor. I don't know what it had to do with the liquor. I couldn't even begin to tell you what that liquor was because I have no idea. And the issue with that one is when you think about that one, when you tell people about it, what you say is the Serena Williams commercial.
Correct.
When it comes to the Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez commercial, what do you say? Did you see that Dunkin' commercial with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez because they were branded all over the place and you knew exactly who it was for? That's where people fail in Super Bowl ads. Don't put out commercials that have nothing to do with your product.
The other one I loved, John Travolta T-Mobile commercial, was hysterical.
See, I like the Bradley Cooper one better. T-Mobile did have two really solid
Yeah, they did.
commercials.
They did. The Bradley Cooper one was with his mom was very funny.
That was that his mom?
Well, theoretically.
Oh.
I don't know if it really was or not, but
I have no idea.
It was just funny. And I hope
it was very funny.
I hope it was his mom, and I hope they really couldn't get through the commercial and they just had to do it this way.
Yeah.
Loved the commercial.
Two good commercials. There were a lot of really bad commercials this year. Again, most of them I didn't have any idea what they were about. Like if you're going to try and sell me something, you you probably should make sure I know what the hell you're trying to sell me.
I can give you my top 4 of all time.
All time.
And I've watched most of the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
No, I've actually watched all of them.
Watched all of them.
I've watched all of them.
All the World Series, all the Super Bowls.
Not all the World Series.
Every American championship game.
Are you done? Wendy's Where's the Beef?
Yeah.
And then I go to the Coke commercial with Mean Joe Green.
That was a good commercial.
Awesome commercial because you knew the product, everything. And then 2 from the same company. The Clydesdale with the puppy.
That was a great commercial.
And the Budweiser frogs.
I don't know why they just don't put out the Budweiser frogs forever. Talk about, there's one word in that commercial.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Budweiser.
The honorable mention is Spuds McKenzie, which was also iconic for a long time. But the frogs,
that's all anybody talks about.
Straightforward Budweiser. It was brilliant. Whoever the creative was on that was absolutely spot on.
They only said one word.
That's all they needed to.
And when you repeat the commercial, you just say the one word. When I was a kid, because that came out in the 90s, when I was probably, in second grade or something like that? We'd go to school, and we'd pretend to be the Budweiser frogs. One person would say Bud, one person would say Wise, one person would say and even the teachers thought it was hilarious. Now, granted, I went into school in Wisconsin, so people think about beer a little bit differently up here.
You don't talk about Budweiser in Wisconsin.
But it was one of the funniest commercials. You had people in Wisconsin talking about Budweiser. All right? That's how you win. The Clydesdale one with the puppy was brilliant, too. Beer commercials are great.
I'll tell you one that was bad. Was the one where they were going Miller versus Coors Light, Miller Lite versus Coors Light. And then they pop up another beer, Blue Moon, at the very end. I'm like, that's not good.
Was the commercial about Blue Moon?
You only saw it at the very end of the commercial. It's actually not about either. It's a Blue Moon commercial. Dumb commercial.
Well, you just advertised an entire commercial of 2 other products.
Correct. I don't know if they're owned by Coors anymore or not, but it was a bad commercial.
That is a bad commercial. There were good ones there, but most of them I don't remember. I mean, most of them you don't remember. But the Ben and Jennifer Lopez commercial for Dunkin' I thought was great. Ben, is that what we're calling him now?
Apparently.
Specifically because I knew it was for Dunkin' Donuts. Right. The Serena one to me loses because I still don't know what the hell it was for. I have no idea.
It was alcohol of some kind. Something Martin, apparently. I don't know.
No clue. You could say, if you can tell me what that commercial was for, I'll give you $1 million. I'd lose out on $1 million. I have no idea.
It was only a 30-second spot, but it dragged. And then
it was just a bad commercial.
It was awful.
It was a bad commercial. Serena's clearly got good acting chops.
She's better than that.
Could have used her in a much better way. Because she's been in a lot of good commercials.
The other one I liked.
That was not one of them.
No, it was not. The other one I liked was the girls played football.
That was funny.
It was funny.
She comes home to her mom, and her mom tries to grab it. Again, no idea what that was for.
Don't know the product.
No idea, but the commercial was funny. Let us know what you think about the commercials in the comments below, and while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. We have had a hell of a show today. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of things going on, a lot of disappointments when it comes to the Super Bowl, which is very depressing.
Only one.
Yeah, it really ruined the game. But it is time now for the scariest moment of my week, which is the Old Man Minute. You get the last word.
So I'm not going to go into, I've got a couple of them, but I'm not going to go depressing on this. I am going to go. For once, I'm not going to go depressing. I'm not going to talk about shootings or any of that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's
respecting police.
That's very nice of you.
Respecting police the way that we should instead of targeting them. No,
I feel like you're going there anyway.
I'm not going there. I am going to go. It was your oldest son's birthday, and you picked out a very unique place for it. You did it at karate. Yeah. Kids should get into karate because it teaches them discipline. It is fun for them to do.
Just taekwondo. Okay. I don't know what the difference is.
I don't know either. Sorry.
I get corrected every time I say karate.
All right. Taekwondo. I've seen more of a change in Grayson since he started doing that
Yeah.
He is so enthused about it. It's helping them in other aspects of their life, which Taekwondo, karate helps kids do. So if you've got a kid, get them involved in it. It'll teach them self-defense, which they need.
Yeah.
And it also teaches them respect, which they should have for adults and police at all times. Because not respecting the police is a bad thing.
I'm going to go away from that, and I'm going to say, to jump on this, I think it has a lot to do with the teacher too. And I think it's very important to make sure that the kids understand that. You know, when he went in there, you know, I go and watch him because I want to see. I like watching him succeed at things. And he knows. When we first started, I was like, I'm not here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in charge. It is the teacher. And we got lucky because he is a really good teacher. He takes it really seriously. It's called Family Strong Sussex is the name of the place. And they do an amazing job. And it that makes a difference. And I think a big part is that when you go into these things, coaches, teachers, I don't know what the head of karate and all that stuff is called. Senseis? Is that what it is?
Okay.
My karate knowledge is Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. Like, that's
teachers
what I know.
in general, good teachers are invaluable.
They are 100%. And it makes a huge difference, and it definitely helped make a huge difference in my son's life.
Yeah. So what's the name of the place again?
Family Strong Sussex is where
Sussex,
he goes.
Wisconsin.
Yes.
The area we live.
Yes,
So
it is.
that's my final word.
That was a
And
good one. You scared me at first.
It was a sad week because there was a police officer in Milwaukee was killed this week, and the funeral was this week. It was a sad day. I respect every police officer, and even when I'm getting pulled over, they've got the toughest job in the world, and the fact that they're not respected more is just enigma to me, because growing up, they were the people you ran to because they were the people that were going to keep you safe. I know there's some bad cops out there, and they should be taken away. The ones in Memphis are going away.
Yeah.
But for the most part, and you know Spotto, he was a cop for a long time. They are there to protect you. They don't care if you're red, blue, green, orange. They want the bad guys.
More good cops and bad cops. So,
anyways.
Awesome. Well, hey, we've had a great show. Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in and being a part of Sports Talk with Dad. We appreciate every single time. Don't forget to get your 125% bonus with your first deposit by going in the link in the description below for BetUS. Thank you again. We'll see you next time. This has been Sports Talk with Dad.
Bye, everybody.